Have you ever wondered why you feel not good enough, flawed, like you're always falling short? It's not because there is something wrong with you. It is because you have internalized the systems of oppression within your own mind and body that have taught you that you are not good enough. In this video, I will be sharing first about my privilege and then about how I see these systems of oppression as greatly affecting all of our ability to be embodied and to feel pleasure in our bodies. Hi, my name is Haley Friend Wilson, and I am a certified embodiment and somatic sexuality guide with 20 years of experience in the field. And one of the guiding questions of my work is what prevents us from being embodied both internally and externally, and what assists us in being embodied both internally and externally. So in this video and in future videos, I will be sharing about how the systems of oppression of colonization, white supremacy, racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, fat phobia, ableism, how all of these systems greatly affect our ability to feel embodied and to feel connected to our bodies, and why dismantling these systems from within us is essential in the path of becoming more embodied and feeling more at home within ourselves. And I will share specifically about how they impact us in the 3 pillars I teach about in my work of creativity, sexuality, and vitality. And I want to acknowledge that it's very charged and loaded for me to be speaking about this as a white woman who is privileged within these systems. So I'm not speaking about these topics as any kind of authority on the subject at large, more just as somebody who is passionate about this subject of learning how these systems impact us, our ability to feel embodied, and in doing my own work to dismantle these systems from within me. So I will be acknowledging my privilege in this video, A, because I have so much of it, B, because not acknowledging it is not acknowledging that privilege exists, is part of how these systems are perpetuated. And also because I am very aware that I am speaking about dismantling these systems from a point of view and perspective of existing within them and being privileged and benefiting from them. So I want to acknowledge that I'm not going to do this perfectly, that there will be aspects of harm that these systems perpetuate that I am blind to, that I'm not aware of because I do not experience that harm. So I want to apologize in advance for any harm that the ignorance that I have about the inhumane systems of colonization and white supremacy has on other people. I want you to know I very much welcome your feedback. I always want to do better. I always want to learn. So feel free to comment if that feels supportive for you. DM me, message me. Okay, so I want to acknowledge my privilege because it is so essential in this conversation. And it's not fair and it's not right, but here it is. I have white privilege. I have the privilege of identifying as the same gender that I was born as. I have the privilege of existing in a family that had university degrees. I also carry a university degree. I carry the privilege of being thin. I carry the privilege of being seen as attractive within these systems that have created that mold of what attractiveness is. I exist within the privilege of being raised in a middle-class family where I never went cold or hungry, where I had new clothes, where I could pursue what I wanted. I carry the privilege of having studied with some of the leading somatic embodiment guides to assist me in my own healing journey. I carry the privilege of having gone through years of therapy. I carry the privilege of all the certifications that I've gained and being able to pursue what I want to do for my work in the world. I carry the privilege of being able-bodied. I carry the privilege of being heterosexual. And even though I did have a learning disability growing up, I carry the privilege of having a family who was able to pay for vision therapy and a mom who supported me in overcoming that. I carry the privilege of having grown up close to nature and getting to experience nature. I carry so many levels and layers of privilege, and it brings me so much anger and sadness that this exists in our world. So many people like me who carry immense amounts of privilege, and so many other people who are starving, who are suffering within these systems, which is part of why I feel an immense responsibility to share what has assisted me personally in healing and liberating myself and coming home to myself and my sexuality, my creativity, my health, to share that for free on this channel and to make these tools accessible to other people. So I want to speak about why it's important to speak about dismantling the systems of oppression on the journey of becoming more embodied and liberated in our experience of being in a body, is because it's important to aim the arrow of blame where it belongs. So let me explain. I know many people feel like I felt depressed, disconnected, numb, spiraling in cycles of addiction and self-harm. And you can begin to formulate a type of thinking or believing of what's wrong with me? Why can't I get it together? I know that's what I felt for myself. When all of these things are actually symptoms from a system that has disconnected us first from the earth, from a sense of tribe, from a sense of family, from cultural traditions that kept us well, spiritual traditions that kept us well. And so we begin to have this symptom of feeling flawed, feeling not good enough, feeling disconnected, and it's not your fault. So we need to not internalize that by believing that it's you that is flawed. It's not you that is flawed. It's the systems that conditioned you to disconnect. So in each person's journey of learning to come back home to the body, that will look different based on your unique identities, your experiences, your culture, your background. And as Kimberly Crenshaw, leading legal scholar and activist, shares in her work around intersectionality that she created back in 1989, she shares how intersectionality is the intersection of the experiences of oppression and discrimination that each human has had based on their unique identities, the unique identities that they hold of their race, their gender, sexuality, class, and how these identities intersect and create unique challenges depending on what your identities are. So in doing the work of dismantling these systems of oppression from within you, it will be different for each person based on what your unique experience has been. So I want to share about how I see these systems of oppression, specifically relating to the aspects of sexuality, creativity, and vitality. So how this might look for within the realm of sexuality. There is a trans gay man who is having trouble orgasming. He was raised in a religion that told him his sexuality was bad, shameful, and wrong. He was raised in a society that told him that his identity was wrong, his sexuality was wrong. And so his body is experiencing the symptom of not being able to orgasm. It's not because he's broken. It's not because he's flawed. It's because he's existed within systems of oppression that have taught him to disconnect from his body and his sexuality. So in the work that I do in the embodied psychosexual method, I help people understand how to shed that from their psyche, from their body. And when that happens, the body begins to start functioning properly. how this could relate to the area of creativity. Say there is a young Black woman who is a musician and she feels scared to share about her music in the world because for fear that it is going to be stolen from her. Because this happened to her father. He was a musician and his music was stolen by white people and he was given no credit and he was given no financial compensation, which has happened to thousands of Black people within the United States and I'm sure the world at large. So it's not her fault that she feels a fear to share her music more publicly. It is because of the systems of oppression that have not privileged her or her creative expression in the world. And so in this case, for her, it would be knowing that it's not her fault that she feels this fear and maybe seeking support by a youth organization, an arts organization, social justice organization that could support her in copywriting her music in the process of her being able to express herself more fully. How these systems of oppression relate in the realm of health and vitality. Say there is a 13-year-old Latino boy who has cancer because he lives near a toxic dumping ground as a result of environmental racism. If you're not aware of what environmental racism is, it's where big business dumps their toxic waste near poor BIPOC neighborhoods. There are huge rates of cancer and illness in these neighborhoods. This boy having cancer is not his fault. It's not because his family didn't eat well enough. It's not because he's not healthy. It's because he is experiencing a symptom of a system of oppression. So it is essential for his family to not internalize that and say, oh, there's something wrong with us that this is happening. No, it is because of these systems, the big business, that have created this experience that this boy is living. And so then they could go to find allies and support, maybe from an environmental justice organization, to support them in working through this systemic oppression. I will share about in future videos how I realized in my own work of becoming embodied, how I had internalized these systems in the way I treated my body, in the way I treated my womb, and the way I lived within my sexuality. So I will be sharing about in future videos my own experience of that and how I work to dismantle that within myself. So I know that we have to talk about it in order to change it. We have to acknowledge the harm, which is why I deeply believe in reparations and land back to BIPOC people. If you're not sure what reparations is, it is giving some kind of financial compensation, some kind of support. It can look a lot of different ways in order to help heal some aspect, help repair some aspect of this systemic injustice. And I deeply believe that we are living with so much unwellness within our society here in the US and globally because so many cultures have been created on the faulty foundation of slavery and genocide. And until we right these wrongs, we will not be well collectively. So it is my hope in speaking about this harm to begin to help to dismantle it, because we have to name it. We have to acknowledge it before we can move beyond it. And it is my hope that we can collectively vision, what does it look like to step out of these paradigms, to live in a world where we really are all honored, where all life is treated as sacred, where all life is respected and treated with care. And so I want to acknowledge that I'm recording this video on the indigenous land of the Siletz, Modoc, and Takelma. And it is my hope in naming this that it can help to support the land back movement of the indigenous people of North America. Thank you so much for taking this video in. In my next video, I will be sharing about how we have internalized these systems of oppression, the trauma of them through intergenerational trauma, how that could be passed down, and how to begin to work through that in an embodied way, as well as connect to the resilience of our ancestors and also the beautiful things that are passed down through our lineage. If you want to connect with me more, I'll put links below to my website, to my social media. I would love to connect with you. Please comment, let me know how this lands for you, what your experience is. My goal here is to build bridges, to create community, to create dialogue, and to really understand what does it look like to step out of these toxic systems and paradigms and create a different way of existing within our bodies, on the earth, and with each other. Thank you so much. Blessings to you.